What if the secret to a better life isn't about adding more, but rather needing less? In Theravada Buddhism, a religion commonly practiced across South and Southeast Asia, the path towards a better, more peaceful life begins with a simple idea: letting go. While the idea of letting go sounds simple in theory, when we start putting this idea into practice, we realize how difficult it can be to master. While we may initially think letting go is a sign of disconnection or aloofness, today we'll learn that this perception couldn't be further from the truth. Instead, learning to let go is a pursuit of freedom, a way for us to free our minds from everything that tries to control us. To understand the importance of letting go, we must seek to understand the Buddhist concept of detachment, the subject of today's video. Once we understand detachment, we can learn to fight against the natural instincts telling us to hold tightly onto everything. Once we become aware of those instincts, we can start letting go and begin our journey towards inner peace. In English, the word detachment can sound harsh. Thoughts of not caring, blocking out the world around us, or shutting down emotionally are oftentimes the perspectives that arise when we hear the word. But in Theravada Buddhism, detachment means something completely different. It's not about rejecting pleasure, relationships, or goals, but rather, it's the ability to experience life in a way that gives us full control. It's about understanding that everything we cling to, people, success, identity, and possessions, is temporary, and holding too tightly onto anything will only lead to suffering. Two beliefs we'll cover today help us understand the foundation of detachment: the Buddhist concepts of impermanence and non-self. Impermanence, or anicca, teaches us that everything changes and nothing will stay as it is forever. When we pause and reflect on the concept of impermanence, we can understand the underlying truth it beholds. Our feelings rise and fade, our dreams evolve, our bodies age, and even our most long-standing relationships shift over time. One of Buddhism's core goals is to reduce suffering in the world. When we become overly attached to anything, we put ourselves in a position to suffer when whatever we're so attached to eventually starts to fade. The second concept that helps us understand detachment is non-self, or anatta. Conceptually, non-self can be more difficult to grasp than impermanence, but at its core, it states that there is no such thing as a permanent, unchanging self. Contrary to the beliefs of many other religions, Theravada Buddhism teaches us that we do not possess an eternal soul or spirit. Instead, we are merely a combination of 5 impermanent components: form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. While this idea of non-self may seem intimidating at first, once we acknowledge there is no permanent self, we can better understand detachment and how to let go. Far too often, humans become fixated on who we are, or rather, who we believe we are. Believing in a fixated self can cause suffering because, as we know, everything in life changes. If we hold too tightly onto the belief that we are fixed and cannot change, we become unable to adapt to the world around us. This fixation limits our ability to live life in the present moment, as when things don't go our way or aren't aligned with our perception of self, we bring unnecessary suffering onto ourselves. If instead we are able to acknowledge there is no eternal soul, it becomes easier to rid ourselves of toxic traits like ego and greed. Understanding these concepts of impermanence and non-self allows us to realize that clinging onto anything, even onto ourselves, starts to feel unnecessary. Once this understanding sinks in, letting go starts to feel not only natural, but peaceful. Buddhism teaches us that our suffering doesn't come from the world itself, but rather from how tightly we try to control it. As humans, our biological instincts naturally steer us in the direction of suffering. We cling to pleasure, hoping it will last forever. We cling to possessions, fearing we'll one day lose them. We cling to relationships, expecting certainty for a lifetime. But sooner or later, everything we cling to eventually changes. And that gap, the gap between what we want and what reality offers us, is the essence of suffering. For monks in the Theravada tradition, detachment is practiced through simplicity. They own almost nothing, eat 1 or 2 simple meals per day, walk around barefoot, and live by routine. Yet, despite a lifestyle that consists of very little, monks do not feel a sense of deprivation. When we have the opportunity to talk to a monk, we notice they feel light and free, unshackled from the weight of wanting or needing more. Their lifestyle isn't about self-punishment, but rather it's an intentional choice to create space for clarity. While training to become a monk takes years, if not decades, we don't have to go through rigorous training to practice detachment ourselves. We can bring it into our everyday lives by changing our relationships with the things around us. And that doesn't mean we need to remove these things entirely. We can still enjoy success. We must simply avoid letting it define us. We can still feel a deep sense of love, but we can't control the outcome of our relationships. We can and will still experience anger, but we can learn to prevent anger from commanding our actions. We can even continue to own possessions. We must merely be careful not to let our possessions own us. At its core, detachment is the art of being present with everything while holding on to nothing. To help deepen our understanding of detachment, let's go over a few simple practices inspired by Theravada Buddhism. 1. Notice impermanence. We can never fully avoid all moments that are painful or difficult. When these moments arise, we must pause and tell ourselves, this moment won't last forever. And once we acknowledge this fact, we notice the moment already starts to change. 2. Pause before reacting. Consciously taking one single breath can quickly break the chain of emotional attachment. Shifting our attention towards breath rather than external factors helps ground ourselves before impulsive actions take control. 3. Practice generosity. When we give things away, not only do we help others, but we loosen the grip that possession has on us. Our generosity can go beyond physical possessions too. Giving time or attention can be just as impactful as offering a physical gift. 4. Hold lightly onto identity. When we reflect on our pasts, we realize how different we've become. We weren't merely younger 10 years ago. We were different people with different beliefs and perspectives. Once we realize how different we were, we start to understand how different we will be in the future as well. Acknowledging the inevitability of change teaches us we don't have to be the person we were yesterday. And in fact, we don't even have to be the person we were an hour ago. In summary, it's important to know that letting go doesn't mean losing anything. Instead, it's about freeing ourselves from the illusion that we can't live without something. In Theravada Buddhism, detachment isn't emptiness, it's spaciousness. It's creating a life with room to breathe and be at peace. When we work towards detachment by loosening our grip on the world responds by loosening the grip it has on us. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and checking out our last video discussing Sanuk, Thailand's philosophical belief that everyone should seek more joy and happiness in life's everyday moments.